My name is Deborah Sullivan. I'm an oncology nurse in New York City. I've been working in the field for 25 years. I have 4 children, all of whom have been healthy, all of them who have had every well visit they're supposed to have, and everybody has been fully vaccinated up to date. So when my daughter Emma was 18 years old and leaving for college, I said we had to go in and get the vaccines that we needed for school, and they brought up the HPV vaccine. And I said, you know what, she's going to school now. I think that she's going to be on her own. I think it's a good idea. So I gave Emma the first round of the HPV vaccine. And within 3 weeks to a month, she called me and said that she had a really severe sore throat. So we took her to the doctor. They got the infection under control, and they sent her home with antibiotics. And the next thing you know, she was sick again 2 weeks later, same thing. So anyway, it goes on and on. She calls me, she said, I really am not feeling well. I can't do swimming. I'm too tired. And she goes, I can't stop throwing up. I think the antibiotics made my stomach sick. I said, well, okay, we got to go to the doctor. Maybe you need probiotics. I gave her probiotics, and then everything went downhill from there. She started vomiting 25 to 30 times a day. She would call me at night, tell me her heart was racing. She would wake up with chest pain. She said she felt like she couldn't breathe. Every time she goes to the hospital, all the tests are fine. Everything's normal. First vaccine was in July. By October, my daughter had gained 25 to 30 pounds in water weight. And I, of course, blamed it. She was out partying. She was doing something that she wasn't supposed to be doing. She wasn't eating well or taking care of her diabetes. And this poor child suffered the whole entire year, in and out of the hospital, had to give up her swimming, had to struggled with her grades, which she had never been. She was a straight A student. And it was just an awful year. She never got the second vaccine just because she was too sick. Finally, by the end of the summer, she started feeling like her old self again. She was starting to get a little bit of energy. She was doing better. And my second daughter, Julia, they're 1 year apart. I gave Julia the HPV vaccine before she left for college. At this point, Emma got her second vaccine because she was well enough to get it. And everything was great. We went the next day. It was a Friday. And then that Saturday, we went to the beach. We had family in town. We had a great day, went out to dinner. And by the time we got home, I get a text from the other room for me to come and see Julia. And when I got in the other room, Julia couldn't breathe. She grabbed her chest and she was gasping for air. And she stood up and she tried to talk and she couldn't. She fell to the ground and she started hyperventilating. And then she passed out. We had to call 911. And that was the first series of having to call 911 12 times in 6 months. She went to the hospital that night. They took her in the ambulance. They got her to the hospital. They gave her sedatives, and she finally came around. And they told us that she was probably having a panic attack and that, she's probably nervous about going away to school. So it made sense. They had a psychiatrist talk to her, and they released us. The next thing you know, she started feeling like she couldn't breathe again. And this time she collapsed in the parking lot of the local high school. And at this point, she started having tonic-clonic seizure-like movements. Her legs were jerking, and they brought her to another hospital. They did an EEG, an MRI, blood work. They did every infectious disease that was negative. They did every neurological test. Every single solitary thing was negative. I started just researching. I said over and over and over again, I started researching, and I kept finding peer-reviewed literature that says that this vaccine is causing the same symptoms in people all over the world. So now it's a year later for Julia. She still can't walk up a flight of stairs without her heart beating, that she can't breathe. If she gets a virus, all the symptoms come back. Her legs start shaking. We went to one football game and she collapsed and she was paralyzed for 24 hours from the waist down. And now Emma, who ended up getting the 2 shots, she suffers with gastroparesis-like syndrome. She still vomits daily. I have 2 girls who were straight A students, honors, IB, AP classes at the top of their class. Many friends, just really became socially where they couldn't go out, too tired to do anything. And it's just been probably the worst 2 years of my life. The first year I didn't know what it was. But after what happened to Julia and I started researching all the girls, it's just the same story over and over again. The whole thing is that you are so abandoned. You're left to feel crazy. I have colleagues that I've worked with for years that they run if they see me because they think I'm going to talk to them because they're afraid of, I don't want to be considered an anti-vaccine. I'm not anti-vaccine. It's just a really bad situation. That's all I can tell you.